Yo, what's good guys, it's Alex here today. I'm back with another tutorial for you guys. For today's video, I'm going to be making a melody in the style of NBA Youngboy and Rod Wave. In my last video I went over how to make a beat for Rod Wave, but today I'm going to be doing a little different. I'll be showing you guys how to make the melody and not the drums. I'll be going into some detail about like how I make my melodies and some tips and techniques for you guys to improve yours. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first thing you want to start off with is picking good sounds. This is definitely something that will make or break your beats. Like, you're going to want to pick sounds that fit well together. So for this melody I have a keyscape piano open, and this is usually my go-to for these kind of beats because you really don't need to do much with these pianos to make them sound good. But with that being said, I'm going to start a little chord progression. So for this melody I'm going to be in the key of D sharp minor. As you can see, I have my little MIDI scale open right now. And like I said in my last video, man, if you guys aren't using this, like if you're new at making melodies, this is definitely something that you want to get. It's going to help you out so much with making them because you always want to stay in key, because if you're out of key, it's going to sound horrible. But I'm going to lay down a little chord progression right now, so that's how I'm going to get into it. Okay, so I just finished my chord progression. Here's how that sounds. It's just nice and simple, nothing too crazy. But for the next step, we're going to work on the top melody. That's kind of where you want to get really creative and start to make something catchy. So this is where you really want to sauce it up. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do that right now. Alright guys, so I just finished that top melody. I'm going to show you how that sounds right now. Alright, so now the piano melody is basically completely finished. But the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to randomize and strum the notes. This is definitely a huge factor in what makes melodies sound like even better, because it kind of like makes it sound realistic and humanizes a little bit. But even with the randomize tool, you're still going to want to go in and adjust the velocity a bit yourself depending on how it sounds, just to make sure it all sounds good and no notes are like too loud or too soft. Okay, so next up I'm going to add a little guitar melody on top of this piano. Right now I have the Evolution Hollow Body Blues Bank open in Contact. And this is another one of my go-to sounds for these type of beats. It has like nice like jazz, like blues feel to it. It's definitely nice over these pianos. But for the melody, I kind of want to keep it simple. You don't really want to overcrowd things, so I'm going to make sure the guitar and the top notes in my piano are complementing each other rather than like playing at the same time. So this is how I'm going to do that. Alright guys, so I just finished my guitar melody. Like I said before, you kind of want to have it like complement the piano melody on the top. You don't want to have them playing at the same time competing, but like when I play, you'll see like I have a couple notes on the piano playing at the same time as the guitar, but for the most part, like they kind of have their own space in a way. And with the guitar too, since it's like another instrument, you kind of want to make it sound realistic, so we're going to randomize that as well. And just like the piano, you're going to want to go in and adjust some of the velocity notes yourself. Kind of just makes it sound better. Okay, so now that we have the piano and the guitar done, next is going to be the bass. For this bass, I just have the Boo Bass stock plugin in FL Studio. I mean, you could really use whatever you prefer. It doesn't really make much of a difference. But ultimately, you're kind of just going to want to copy over your bass notes from the chord progression. Maybe add some notes to give it a little bounce. But the first thing I like to do, I turn up the bass to like 90% maybe. And then turn the mid and the treble down. Shout out to my boy Jaco. He actually put me onto that trick in one of his past tutorials. It definitely gives the Boo Bass a nice sound. Alright, then like I said, you're just going to want to take your bottom notes from the chord progression, which is going to be all these right here, and then you kind of just put them in the Boo Bass, then like I said, add some notes for some bounce. So here's how I'm going to do that. Okay guys, so I just finished laying down the bass. It's basically just the bass notes on the chord progression, but I added a couple little notes here and there to make it sound kind of interesting. So let me play that for you guys right now. Okay, so for the last part of this melody, I'm just going to add some one-shots to the beat. Gives it a nice little detail. First one I have open is this little like wah-wah guitar lick. I don't really know what you want to call it, but here's how that sounds. And then the second one is this little ambient noise. And with these you just want to make sure they're in key, but it definitely helps giving your beat like a nice little detail. So I'm going to put this one right in the beginning, so D sharp. And that sounds good. And for the ambient noise, I think I'm going to put that one right here. And let's hear how it sounds. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that sounds pretty good. I think I'm going to keep it like that. With these, you don't want to overdo them too. You kind of want to leave room for your artist. So I'm going to keep it just simple, just laid like that. Okay, so now that the melody's finished, you're going to want to go in and add some effects to your instruments. Personally, for me, all I add is reverb to make it sound realistic, and then I add a parametric EQ to cut out low-end frequencies, but it's kind of really whatever sounds good in my opinion. But I'll show you guys how I do that. It's pretty basic. So for an example, we start out, I'm going to do it on like the piano. Well, here, actually, let me solo this track. I'm going to put free reverb 2, turn up the size, turn up the mod, about 45%. I'll turn up the wet to like 60. And here's how that sounds. It kind of just adds a nice like echoey, like reverb type vibe. And then after that, I'm gonna put fruity parametric EQ, do a 40 hertz cut, and then I'm just gonna cut off the low end frequencies to the point where it doesn't change how the piano sounds, but it's gonna cut off those frequencies that you don't really hear, but they'll kind of interfere with like your other instruments. And if you throw drums on here, it'll interfere with your 808s. So you definitely want to get rid of those. Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty good. But like I said, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to take off too much bass because it will make your instruments kind of lose character. And you definitely do want to have some bass in there, but you just want to cut off just a tiny bit. So I'm going to do the rest of these. I'm going to add the reverb and the EQ and all that, and then I'm going to show you guys how it sounds after all that. Okay, so now that we're done with all that, the melody is pretty much complete. I mean, like, obviously you can add some more things as you like, but for me, I kind of want to keep it simple. Mainly just because I want to leave space for the artist when they use the beat, especially when you add drums, because you don't want to, like, kind of overcrowd it. But you know, other than that, I really hope you guys liked the video and that it helps you with making your own melodies for your beats. If you guys did find this video helpful, feel free to drop a like, comment, and a sub. And you know, also let me know what you guys want to see in the next video. Let me know what you thought of this melody. But man, with that being said, I'm out. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.